What's good? Welcome to the Post Out Podcast presented by Mallyway. It's your boy Malik. Thanks for tuning in. So this is the post-game reaction for the NBA playoff restart, round 2, game 2, the Toronto Raptors versus the Boston Celtics. As you can see, the Raptors lost 102-99. So let's break this down. So basically, watching this game is pretty much what I've been saying, man. The Boston Celtics look like a better version of the Toronto Raptors. Boston Celtics are, they're a team that are going to go out there and play some hard-nosed defense, and that's exactly what the Toronto Raptors do. The only difference is on the other side of the ball, as we can see, they're in two separate worlds. The Boston Celtics, pretty much, in my opinion, have the best three players on the court. I know Pascal Siakam's an ascending star, but at this time, he's not there yet offensively. He's not there yet. The Raptors, we talk about it all the time. They flourish in transition. The Raptors need to get a lot of stop, and they need to score in transition. That's usually where they get the bulk of their basket. When they play half-court offense, it doesn't go so well for them. When they have to run sets, that's when you see their offensive weakness. Now, in this particular game, they came up hard. Siakam was a lot more under control. He started the game well. OG Anunoby had 11 points in the third quarter. He was playing really well. So I'm not going to bash them too much because, like I said, the Raptors are not offensively minded players. They're just, great defensive players that happen to run good sets. So if you look at OG's stats, OG shot 58% from the field. He was 7 from 12. He had 20 points and 7 rebounds. So that's a good night for OG Anunoby, right? Siakam, 17 points on 37% shooting. So again, he started off good. But, in the third and the fourth, when the Celtics are tightening up the defense, again, things are not as smooth for Siakam, right? Siakam sometimes will force his offense because his arsenal is pretty much getting down low, getting in the post. And if that doesn't work, then he has to get the rest of his points in transition. The Celtics are a great transition defensive team. And, they were able to neutralize Siakam. So at this point, Nurse had some pretty good sets. Ibaka was pretty hot from the three early on. Van Fleet, struggled a little bit. If I look at his stats, he had 19 points, but on 8 for 22 shooting. He only shot 36%, and his plus-minus was -3. So Van Fleet, again, Van Fleet has the heart of a champion. I respect Van Fleet for, his shot-making abilities in the clutch. But at the end of the day, he's not a guy that's going to carry the team on a day-to-day basis. Van Fleet, he's a miniature point guard. I don't even know if he cracks 6 feet tall. And, I feel like every other layup somehow gets blocked or, he's not a great finisher, inside the paint. So at this point, there's a lot of talk about, Van Fleet's free agency. There's a lot of talk about paying him the max deal. If I was Toronto, if I was in the general office, I wouldn't, pay Van Fleet, out of respect for, Steady Freddy. I wouldn't pay him north of $15 million. The max I would do is double what he's getting now. I think he's getting $9 million a year. So the max I would do is $18 million, maybe a 2-3 year contract. But good teams don't max out players that are limited, right? So in this particular case, as you can see, the Raptors are down 0-2 to the Celtics, and it's largely because we're limited offensively. But other than that, this game was a bounce-back game. So the Raptors did good. They did a good job containing the Celtics in the first half. Marcus Smart and Kemba Walker were struggling in the first half, but then there was a huge outburst. Marcus Smart started hitting threes, especially in the fourth. He hit 5 3-pointers in the fourth. He had 16 points, and Kemba Walker just came at the end, and he did what Kemba Walker does, and he was clutch. So at the end of the day, a game like this is going to show everybody that Even though the Celtics were struggling for pretty much 3 quarters, they were able to stay in the game because, they can play just as good as defense as the Raptors, but at the same time, offense comes easy to them. The Celtics only need one to two guys to get hot, and the game's done. On the other side, the Raptors, nobody was really hot. Everybody's just relying on the flow of the offense, running sets, trying to get open shots. But if that doesn't work, um, there's no real go-to player on the Toronto Raptors, and that's one thing that fans need to get, need to remind themselves before they start throwing the bag at all these players. I mean, Siakam already got paid, and obviously he deserves it. He's going to be considered the go-to guy for now, but it's not in his DNA. It's kind of like what Shaq said on TNT. He mentioned that Siakam is the go-to. Actually, he said Siakam was the designated go-to player, which means that because Kawhi left, we had to pretty much designate a player. And that's what happened in this situation. And don't get me wrong, I respect Pascal. He was great as the second best player last year during a championship run. But again, there's certain things we're going to have to do here. Another thing to keep track of is the performance of our bigs. That's one thing that needs to be discussed. If you look at Marc Gasol, Marc Gasol, man, this guy, he was an important piece to the championship run. Obviously, he helped us a lot more defensively than he did offensively. But I think it's fair to say that offensively, Marc Gasol is washed. He's in the later stages of his career. He played 21 minutes. He only had 6 points, 4 rebounds. Shot 2 for 4, and yeah, that's it's pretty lackadaisical. These numbers are not impressive, and at this point, I think Nick Nurse needs to think about giving these minutes up to Ibaka and Chris Boucher, because Marc Gasol is not really providing much on the offensive end. He's pretty much a guy that the Celtics aren't even defending, which is going to crowd the paint and makes it a lot harder for Lowry and Van Fleet to drive. Van Fleet's already having enough trouble trying to make layups, but if Marc Gasol isn't going to hit threes, then this is going to be a problem. Ibaka played 26 minutes, so obviously he played more minutes at the center position, but I would like to see Gasol's minutes get reduced a little bit, because this shit is getting ridiculous. At least Chris Boucher is going to crash the glass, and he can get a lot of buckets on second points or second chance opportunities. And at the same time, Boucher's not he's trigger happy. He's not scared to shoot the three. And from what we've been seeing so far, I think he can rise to the occasion. We're down 0-2. Nick Nurse is the coach of the year, so I expect him to make the necessary changes. But Marc Gasol, again, it's tough. He's multiple-time All-Star. Obviously, he's a veteran in the league. But when you're down 0-2, you're going to have to make some adjustments. And I think at this point, we're going to have to limit his minutes, sorry. And, we're going to have to let some of the young guys do their thing. The other thing I caught from this game is that, the new challenge rule, it's actually a good thing to have, but I don't understand why they need to penalize the coach when the coach challenges a call and he's actually right about it. Because if the Raptors, they got a situation where they won a challenge, and if we're gonna win a challenge, that means that the referee messed up. And if he messed up, I see no reason why we should be robbed of the challenge here. They need to update the rule and pretty much make it so that if you win the challenge, you get to keep your challenge for another session. Because I don't know if y'all see, if you've seen this, but in the middle of the third quarter, one of the refs, I don't even know his name, but one of the refs made one of the most ridiculous call I've seen in a while. The Raptors were on a 3-on-1 fast break. It wasn't even 3-on-1. It was pretty much 3-on-0, and then Marcus Smart pretty much caught up with the play at the end there. And as Van Fleet was going for the layup, he pretty much, you know, elbowed Siakam on the way to the rim and then flopped. And then as the referee's running with the 3 and 4 guys, I don't know why in the world he turns around and then calls that an offensive foul on Siakam. And then luckily, Nick Nurse challenges that call. When you watch the replay, it's clear that, Marcus Smart comes out of nowhere, elbows Siakam, and then, he completely flops the other direction. So this whole thing, this whole review with the ref, took about 2 to 3 minutes, which is even dragging the game a lot longer. And then we're sitting here wondering if they're going to take that basket away. That's an automatic 2-point that the refs need to not interfere with. But luckily, Nick Nurse made the challenge, and I think the refs knew that they fucked up, and they needed to pretty much reverse that call and award the Raptors with the 2 points. So they basically came up with an explanation saying that, Marcus Smart was actually the one who pushed Siakam and tried to flop, so it was a defensive foul. And then they try to, explain it away in terms of Van Fleet was already in a shooting motion. To be honest, all that was unnecessary because the refs sometimes, they just need to swallow their whistle. I don't know why he needed to make a call on that, but at least he realized that he messed up. And, he gave the Raptors the 2 points and plus an extra free throw because it was a defensive foul. But again, in that situation, I don't see why Nick Nurse needed to even challenge that. We shouldn't be losing our challenge over a stupid call like that. But yeah, to close it off, I'm just going to say the Raptors are going to need to, they're going to have to address some of their shooting woes because that's what's killing them right now. If you look at the team comparison, the Raptors shot 27.5% from the 3, as opposed to 39.5% from the Celtics, right? The Raptors did end up with more assists, but offensively, it seems like the Celtics had them, in every category, right? The Celtics out-rebounded them 44-41. Celtics shot 42% from the field. The Raptors were at 40%, and the Celtics shot 92% from the free throw line. And the Raptors were just at 84% from the free throw line. So again, they gotta execute better. They did a lot of, they did a way better job this game as opposed to game 1. But still, in order for them to beat the Celtics, they're gonna have to execute perfectly, pretty much offensively, while keeping the defensive intensity at a maximum level. So they pretty much have to play a perfect game to beat the Celtics because the Celtics don't, especially offensively, they don't really need to have their best games to beat the Raptors. I think this game was evident of that. And the Raptors, it's another story, man. It's another story. As much as, they had a great regular season, again, the Raptors go 100% all the time. And, some other team will coast from game to game, right? So people shouldn't get too surprised with what's happening right now. There's no hate on the Toronto Raptors. Again, there's 2 more games. Celtics have to win two more games to move on to the next round. It should be exciting. Whoever gets the next round should be exciting. Obviously, we all saw Jimmy Butler take game 1 from the Milwaukee Bucks. That was pretty dope. I think he dropped the 40-piece. And, I think the Raptors are going to struggle with either team, man. The way they're playing right now, that doesn't bode well for, this series, and it doesn't bode well for either Milwaukee or the Miami Heat. But yeah, I'm going to cut it short. I'm going to leave it at that. If you guys have anything to add, just, make sure to leave a comment. Make sure to follow, my Instagram page, my Twitter page. You can hit me up at Malleyway27. And, yeah, man. Until game 3, I'm going to holler at y'all later.